121, left intercept the final bearing 222. 130.
Business suit, check. Resume. There's a live picture of the floor of the New York Stock Exchange as the market hits new highs on Wall Street. A record day for the Dow Industrials. It hit a new intraday high of 11,758. And stocks are now on track for a record close as we enter the final and most important hour of the trading day. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Closing Bell. I'm Maria Bartiromo here with Dylan Radigan on the floor.
Nice to see you, everybody. We did this once before. This is like deja vu. We have been here before. Bob Pisani will be here shortly. Here's the deal. There's Bob right there. Hello, Bob. The New York Stock Exchange has been through a little bit of a cycle here of almost and then not quite. Today we got there. The issue has been, and we talked about this a lot, Maria, that while the large cap names have done very well, that the smaller cap and mid cap names have not. So if and I'm not trying to rain on the parade. It's a very nice intraday high. You get hate mail. But there are a lot of names that if you're confused when you look at your quarterly statement from this quarter as to why it's not as good as the numbers and the headlines of CNBC suggest, it's because those smaller mid-cap names have not been performing, which really leads us to the question about what will happen this quarter.
Absolutely, and it leads us to the theme of what is happening today, right? Yeah. We are seeing money move into some of the big caps. You got the banks, the big banks, the brokers up 1.5% each on average. You got the drug stocks up 1.5% on average. The one group failing to participate today, the oil stocks, as usual, because we got oil prices down.
Which is why everything else is up. So listen, you can't have it every which way.
Let's take a look at where we stand right here as we enter the final stretch on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average right now on the upswing by 75 points at a level of 11,746. NASDAQ Composite also holding on to some gains here as we approach the final stretch. Technology, financial services, two nice leadership groups in the market today. NASDAQ higher right now by about 10 points, as you can see there. S&P 500 looks like this, and this, of course, plays to what Dylan was just saying. S&P 500 a ways away from its all-time high. Standard & Poor's 500 index is seeing a gain today, although it is far from its all-time high reached back in the year 2000, like the Dow.
Bob Pisani, our eye on the floor. We've set the table for you, but where are we headed? Large caps continue to do well. Did the small caps get better, worse? What's going on here?
What we're headed for is good earnings season. That's what's moving things here. There's no magic about why the stocks are moving up overall here. 14% growth for the S&P 500 this quarter, 12% for the fourth quarter. That hasn't been brought down much at all in the last 2 months, despite concerns about a slowing economy. If you look at what's working here today, and Maria's right, it's about financials. You've got Goldman at a new high. You got JP Morgan at a new high. Bank of America. Guess what's at a historic high? Right over there, Jimmy trades it. Berkshire Hathaway, the most expensive stock in the history of the universe, $97,300, historic high. Close the markets on that one. I keep waiting for it to hit $100,000. That's when we're really going to have the party at. That's a party for you down here. Also, what's moving here today? Take a look at anything financial, and you're right, Maria. If you would have started selling commodity stocks in the bottom of the market in August and started buying financials like Citigroup, you would have been great. ExxonMobil goes down, Citigroup goes up.
2020. I mean, we can sit here and say you're a genius to sell this and buy that. Well, of course, it's happened.
It was not obvious.
Where are we headed? What is your indication about the future?
The indication of the future is that the current move will continue. That is, the stocks that have been moving, as the economy does not slow down to the extent that people think it do, will continue to do very well. I'm talking about cyclicals.
Specifically?
I'm talking about cyclicals in general. Look at what happened at Union Pacific. We just saw Union Pacific about 40 minutes ago making positive comments. Overall, their shipments continue to do very well. There's no slowdown in the transport industry. That group and the whole cyclical industry continuing to do very well. Look at Kohl's this morning. We had Kohl's making positive comments. Their September same-store sales were terrific overall. The recession, the slowdown the bears keep talking about isn't happening. The numbers just aren't there right now. Finally, I just want to put up one other group moving. Nobody talked about insurance stocks are continuing to move up. Why are insurance stocks so strong? Because all those geniuses out in Colorado who predict all the hurricanes said, oh, sorry, there isn't going to be any more hurricanes. Weren't we all worried about this 3 months ago? We were all crazy. Today they said it's not a problem. All the insurance stocks all stay.
I think you're crazy right now.
They're all moving to the upside. Are we supposed to toss to somebody? I think we are. I think Scott Wagner is standing around somewhere.
We've got all sorts of data all throughout this hour. And Dylan, if you will humor me, I have tons of lists to talk about throughout the hour.
The whole floor will humor you.
Yeah, exactly. That I want to go through. I'm going to ask one question, and then we're going to give it to people at the end of the show. How about this? You ready for this? Okay. The top yielding Dow Jones Industrial Average companies. So if you go look, we're talking about a record high in the Dow, right? Let's look in the Dow. Let's take a look at the companies that are really moving the average. The top companies that have
underway, and there's lots to talk about there. Scott Wapner is there. Scott.
You guys are having too much fun down there. You know, all this talk about records, I'm feeling a little left out. So I thought we'd take a walk back into history and look at NASDAQ 5,000. You remember that? All the way back to March of 2000. And you can see the ride that we've been on since then, down 55% from that record high. That said, you know, this market has been doing pretty well over the last several months. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ by the numbers and talk about the bounce that we've had here. You know, the market was up 3.7% in September, up 3% in the third quarter, up 1.5% year to date, and then up 11.2% since the mid-July lows. Just to give you some perspective of what's going on here. Let's also talk about some semiconductor stocks, because I have a number of those issues listed on the wall today, because there was an interesting report out saying that semiconductor sales set a monthly record in September to $25.5 billion. So I just thought I'd throw some names up today that we're doing fairly well. Intel, Applied Materials, and Xilinx, and Maxim. And you see that KLA, Tencor, and Novellus are just trading fractionally lower on the day. Let's talk about another individual stock that has really been getting hurt today. Marvell down 11%. This stock did hit a new low early today. It's since come back to that. But this stock was hurt today after it cut its third quarter outlook and says it will restate its past financial results due to stock option accounting. Says financial statements beginning with the IPO all the way back to June of 2000 now can no longer be relied on. Broadcom is another stock that was off significantly today, down 3.5%, lower on the outlook from Marvell, because the thought here that these two companies compete. So if Marvell's business is being hurt a bit, perhaps that will affect Broadcom as well. Interestingly, Broadcom did win the latest round in its patent infringement case with Qualcomm, but getting zero bounce out of that because of the Marvell bad news. Let me look at Costco as well. It's up about 1% right now, even though downgraded by Bank of America to neutral from a buy. The price target cut there to 50 from 52 after a negative pre-announcement citing lower pharmaceutical margins. And finally, my last stock of the day here, Nutrisystem. It's down 4%. Lazard, though, raising the estimates and the price target, 77 from 75, seeing a strong quarter there. Dylan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. We're here on the floor not only with Maria, but with Michael Woolfolk. Hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
Currency strategist at the Bank of New York. And Joe Lavorgna, who is the chief fixed income economist over at Deutsche Bank. We welcome both of you to the program. The obvious question is,